Hey, welcome to the Empowered and Free podcast. My name is Erin Kimbrell, and I'm a counselor, certified life coach, breathwork coach, and small town mom of two. I know firsthand what it feels like to live with high functioning anxiety. For most of my life, I had so much mental mess, anxiety, people pleasing, perfectionism, overthinking, constant worrying, and never feeling good enough. On my decade-long journey to feeling better, I've learned how to take back my life from high-functioning anxiety and helped others to do the same through my coaching and breathwork programs. Now I want to share everything I know with you. This podcast will help you feel empowered over your high-functioning anxiety and free to finally live the life of your dreams. Now, grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and dive into the episode. I'm Erin Kimbrell, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast. Hey, friend, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are talking about a big topic. So we're going to talk about today how to actually enjoy the holidays without feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or anxious. All right, I'm going to teach you some really practical strategies to help with each one of those feelings: stress, overwhelm, and anxiety. Now, I know this is a big promise. I know that, but this is absolutely possible for you. And that's why I want to teach you this today to help you have a lighter, happier, more joyful holiday season. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, please disregard my voice. It sounds a little froggy, a little raspy. I have been sick on and off for months now, and I am over it. Over it. I just want to feel better and back to 100%. But that is all right. I'm thankful to be here and feeling pretty much almost 100%. Okay. So, when we talk about the holiday season, I know that this is one of the most stressful times of the year, one of the most overwhelming times and anxiety provoking times of the whole entire year. But again, it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. What we're going to talk about today is how to notice where each of what I call the big three are. Again, anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. Those are the big three that cause a lot of this mental mess, mental drama that we deal with high functioning anxiety. So we're going to break it down. We're going to get specific, and I'm going to help you separate and sort out between the three of those things. Then we're going to talk about practical strategies for each one, because that's what I know you need. You need to take some action. You need to be feeling better. And with each of these strategies, you can do that in just minutes. Okay. So if you can, if you're driving, that's fine. But if you can, grab a piece of paper so that you can work through these as I'm teaching you. So let's start with the first one, which is overwhelm. I am someone, if you've been listening for a while, you know I'm somebody who experiences overwhelm on a daily basis, really, I would say. I'm a highly sensitive person, so it doesn't take a lot. Also, as an introvert and an empath, does not take a lot for me to get overwhelmed. And so this is something that I'm really familiar with, and I've had to teach myself ways to kind of help me kind of come out of that overwhelm. But the feeling of overwhelm really is just having too much to do, whether it's too much on your to-do list, your literal list that you're doing. Maybe it's just too much in your mind, that kind of running script that we always have going on. If you have too much of that going on, maybe it's that you feel like you don't have enough of something. You don't have enough resources. So that could be not enough time, not enough money, not enough mental energy, whatever resources you need to make something happen in your life. I feel overwhelmed often when I have a packed schedule, when I have no time to just chill and decompress, because that's something that is non negotiable for me. So when I don't have time for that, I'm immediately feeling that overwhelmed. So as I talk through some of that, what comes up for you? Where do you feel like your overwhelm is stemming from? Is there one particular area of your life that feels more overwhelming? Like maybe when you think about what's running through your head all day long, is that work? Are those work issues? Is that stuff coming up at home? Is that stuff in your relationships? Is that financial overwhelm? What is it that's coming up for you when you think of the word overwhelm and that feeling of being overwhelmed? Like, I feel kind of suffocated, like I don't have enough of something, like there's just too much and I can't catch my breath. That's kind of that feeling that I get when I feel overwhelmed. But what about for you? That could be different. So take a second, think about where your overwhelm really stems from. I probably put a lot of time into figuring out where my overwhelm comes from because, again, it is such a frequent thing that I feel. And I don't like feeling that way. So I'm constantly like aware of why am I feeling this way and how can I help myself feel better? So, what I want to teach you today to help you is what I call my Overcome Overwhelm 4D blueprint. Okay. This is something I've taught in the past years ago, put on my social media. I've shared this with clients, and people have reached out and just said, "Oh my gosh, this was so helpful." I don't know how I came up with this concept, probably out of desperation. I don't know. But I had to think of something to help myself. Okay. So, I'm going to teach you my Overcome Overwhelm 4D blueprint today. Again, if you've got paper, that is awesome. If not, come back, save this episode, and come back and do it when you have a second. Okay. What this tool is going to do, it's going to help you quiet your overwhelmed mind because you're going to get everything out onto paper. So it's not just like, again, running through your head all the time. The crazy thing about our thoughts is we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. Pause. Think about that. 60 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. And about 95-ish% of those thoughts are just repeating thoughts from the day before. So that's how we have to get a grip on like, what are the thoughts? What is going through my head? And when I'm overwhelmed, that is when my mind personally is the busiest, along with feeling anxious, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay. But when we can take a second, kind of get that out of our heads, sort through it, and figure out what's most important, that's how we take action. And taking action is a really good way to get yourself out of overwhelm. Because when we're overwhelmed, what do? We procrastinate, we avoid, we just completely like pretend like the issues aren't there. We might even shut down into just total like can't even think about it kind of mode. So we don't want to do that. And one way we get out of overwhelm is by taking some directed action. So let's talk about how to do that. So if you have your piece of paper in front of you, okay, I want you to first do what's called a brain dump. So I want you to take everything that is in your mind right now and put that on the piece of paper. So pause me if you're listening and doing this. In real time, go ahead and pause me, but dump everything out on your mind on that piece of paper. Ready? Go. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to keep on rolling. Okay. Now that you've done that brain dump, I want you to just notice for a second how much more clear your mind feels. Like for me, the brain dump is the best feeling because the relief of not having to keep up with every single thing in my mind is so freeing. Like I have brain space for a second. Again, it just feels so clear. So that's the first step, doing that brain dump. Okay. The second step we're going to do is we're going to sort it. All of the things that you wrote down, we're going to sort them into 4 categories. You can write these down and then I'm going to tell you how to do the sorting. Okay? Again, this is called 4D for a reason. There are 4 Ds that we're going to start with. The first one is the do now category. Do now category. So this can be quick tasks. So things that you can do in 10 minutes or less. I love a quick task because this helps to get the momentum going. Okay. So these are things that you can do that don't take a lot of time, but they give a lot of energy. They kind of get that motivation going for you to do more. So quick tasks that you can do would go into this do now category, but also things that are a priority to you, things that are urgent and important. Okay. That's what's going to go in the do now category. Second category is the delegate category. So these are tasks that you have on your to-do list, but somebody else could do these things. Not everything needs to be done by you. I know that you are so good at everything you do because I just know that about you, but you don't have to do it all. There are so many people around us who are also equally talented or could give their best effort, and you need to enlist some help. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to think about what task you could delegate to someone else. Maybe that means somebody in your family. Maybe that means somebody at work. Maybe that means a friend. Delegate is the next category. Okay. The third category is delay. So this is like if you've ever been in a business meeting and you make a parking lot list, which is like things that we're just going to put off, things that maybe are important but not really urgent, things that we don't have to do right now. This is going to be your parking lot. This is your wait list. What could be done in a week or even a month? Not everything needs to be done right now. That is where your delay category items will go. Okay. And then the fourth category is ditch. What is not even worth your time? What is on your mind that is completely unrealistic, that really is not a priority for you, but for some reason you've put it on your to do list? Also, another thing I think about when I'm ditching things is what is weighing really heavy on me that, again, doesn't have to be done. Like, this is not a make or break kind of situation. We tend to, as overachievers, as perfectionists, as people pleasers, we just want to do it all and do it all to the 10th degree. And it's really not necessary. Okay. And so these things, all these extra tasks on your to do list, are causing you to feel really bogged down and super overwhelmed. So those got to go. Okay. What could be ditched? That's the fourth category. So again, we have do now, delegate, delay, and ditch. Those are your four categories. Okay. So I want you to take your piece of paper and you can either make four separate columns or you can make a T across your paper and have four different quadrants. However you want to do it, just get it down on your paper. Go ahead and write your four categories: do now, delegate, delay, and ditch. And when you have that blank template, I want you to go back to your brain dump paper, that list that you wrote of everything, and you're going to put every single task into a category. Okay. The more that you can put into the delegate, delay, and ditch categories, the better off you're going to be. Okay. So go ahead and work on that now. Again, pause me if you're doing this in real time and then come back as soon as you're done. All right, my friend, now that you are done with that, that again was your Overcome Overwhelm 4D blueprint. This is something I do every single time. Every single time I'm feeling overwhelmed, because this is how we can really, again, clear out that mind, release some of the overwhelm, and focus on the things that are actually important. That's that do now category. Okay. What are the things that, again, are urgent and important? What needs to be done now and will actually make a difference in your life? That's what you got to focus on. The other stuff can go. Okay. Find the people to delegate it to, find the things that you can ditch, and delay the rest. The things that can wait, I guarantee there are things in your life that you feel like you need to do now, but really they could wait. Again, at a week or so, maybe a month, you can totally do this. Okay. I encourage you, come back to this Overcome Overwhelm blueprint as often as you need to. This will be super helpful during the holidays when we are just feeling the pressure of so many added tasks and events and things on our to-do list. This is why we got to come back to this blueprint. Okay. I hope that is super helpful for you. So that is overwhelm. Now let's talk about the second of the big three, which is stress. Okay. So as I help you kind of mentally like sort out what is what, so stress is really that mismatch between what you want and what you have. So I want you, that's kind of like a vague definition of stress, right? But we all know that feeling of just being really stressed out. So similarly to the exercise we just did on overwhelm, you can actually use the same list if you would like, because we're just going to dump out everything again that is on your mind, everything that is stressing you out. So again, take that list that you just did for the Overwhelm Overcome 4D blueprint, and you can add anything to it that maybe you forgot, things that are stressing you out. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Again, pause if you need to add to your list, and then come back. So as you look at that list, I want us to go in a completely different direction. Okay. We don't want to be stressed out this holiday season. Instead, I want you to think about what you want your focus or your intention for this season to be. So I'm a super visual person. I like to imagine like a scene playing out. So maybe for me, again, this is like a really personal example, but I think about how I want my season to be just like joyful with my kids and my husband and just us as a family spending time together. I want to think about time with my extended family, like my parents and my grandparents and my sister and my nieces and nephews and my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, and like all these people that I love so much and care about. I want to think about spending time with them. And so I kind of see it as like a movie, like a picture. So when I imagine what my holiday season will look like, I see it as like a movie, like a picture. If I was watching a movie, what would that look like? I can see us like hanging out around the tree and just laughing and having a good time, opening presents, like being really present, being in the moment with my family, maybe doing special traditions that we do and just feeling those feelings at the same time. So that joyfulness, the lightness, just again being so present that I'm not thinking about anything else. So that's how I like to imagine what I want my focus or intention for the season to be. Maybe for you, you think of a word or a phrase or even a Bible verse or a mantra or an affirmation or something that you can bring your attention to as your focus for the season. So go ahead again, pause right here, and I want you to think about what do you want to focus your energy, your attention, and your time on this holiday season. How do you want to feel? Spend some time brainstorming that. All right, now that you've spent some time kind of thinking about what you want your season to be like, we're going to go back to that list, your stressed out list, your overwhelmed list from earlier. And with that feeling in mind of what you want the holiday season to be like, I want you to look at the things on your list. Which of the things are actually important to you? Okay. If you did that Overcome Overwhelm 4D blueprint, you could maybe go look at the things that were on your do now list. Are these things really important to you? Whittle it down even further if you can. Are these things, like again, for me, these will be things like traditions with the kids, like events that we go do or family that we go see around the holidays or things that I would say are on like my holiday bucket list, things that really matter to me. Those would be things that would align with not only things that are urgent and important, but things that I want to do that would contribute to the feelings that I want to feel this holiday season. So going back to that list and circling things on the list that align with that, things that are actually important to you this holiday season. Again, pause here if you need to go do that and then come back. All right, now that you've looked at what are things that you want to do, things that are important, I want us to do the opposite. Which things are on your list? They could even be on your do now category, right? Which things on your list have nothing to do with your focus or intention for the season? As you see those things on your list, go ahead and cross them right off, okay? Because we are not worrying about those things. So, again, this helps you whittle down that list even more. Go ahead and give a big X to those things, pause this, and come back. So now that you've got your list, you've cut out the things that don't deserve your energy. Again, we are going to mentally let them go as we cut them off our list because they're extra, they're fluff, they're not worth your very precious limited time this holiday season. And we're not giving it any more mental energy either. So as you have kind of curated these lists, created these lists in your life that are things that not only are urgent and important, but things that align with where you want to go this holiday season and how you want to feel and what you want to be and how you want to spend your time. This is how we can really cut down on the level of stress and overwhelm in our life. No longer do we have these really packed to-do lists or busy schedules, right? We're really focusing on the things that matter most to us. And that curating your time, that is the best gift that you could give yourself. I promise you. Okay. All right. So we've talked about overwhelm and we've talked about stress. Let's go on to the third category in the big three, which is anxiety. So again, as we are weeding through the mental mess, the mental drama, trying to figure out what is what, anxiety is really that feeling of worry, nervousness, unease, that uneasy feeling. Like to me, it's like, I just don't feel good. Like I kind of feel on edge. I feel like something bad is going to happen. We kind of have that feeling that something is uncertain. Okay. You might even feel like apprehension or you're anticipating a future worry or concern in your life. Okay. That would be this big definition of anxiety. If you've listened to me for a minute, if you've been here on the podcast, you know that anxiety is here to help keep you safe. Okay. Anxiety is here to keep you safe. I like to reframe what anxiety really is and help you understand it on a deeper level because that awareness is really key to helping you feel better. Okay. So, anxiety wants you to plan out everything, every last detail to know exactly what's going to happen. Anxiety wants you to be prepared for every single scenario. And that's why we think of every single thing that could happen because we want to be prepared. So, anxiety really likes predicting and planning for things and being prepared for anything. And this is really a way to keep you feeling in control. Okay. Control is key because being in control helps us feel safe. And again, anxiety wants us to feel safe. So knowing that, like, and going, oh, well, maybe that's why my mind is kind of running all over the place with all these bad things that could happen or the worst case scenarios. It makes a lot more sense. So as we really focus on anxiety, what are you worried about at the core of the holiday season? What are these anxious thoughts that you're having and the worries that are running through your head? Okay. Asking yourself certain questions will help you get to the root of the worry or the fear that you have. So, I'm going to ask you a few questions here. Okay. Feel free to jot this down if you want or just kind of brainstorm as I talk. This holiday season, what are you worried will go wrong? Okay. Again, pause as you answer or as you brainstorm. Your second question here is what is the worst thing that will happen? Our mind always goes to the worst case scenario when we're struggling with anxiety. So, what is the worst thing that you are worried about will happen? And the third question here, what thoughts have you had that started with the words what if? So, what if blank, blank, blank? What if this happened? What if write down any thoughts you've had that start with what if. All right. So now that you've had some time to kind of get some awareness around what anxious thoughts you're having, we want to do some work on releasing some of these anxious thoughts and worries that you've got coming up. One of my favorite tools for this that is super simple. I have taught this to people of all ages, even little kids, because this is such a good one. Is called the circle of control. Okay. I just talked to you about how control is a way for us to feel good, to feel safe and secure. And anxiety likes that. But the problem is, a lot of times we are focusing on things that are outside of our control, and we are spending a lot of our time spiraling, worrying, thinking about those things. You remember how I mentioned that 95% of our thoughts are from the day before and they're repeating thoughts over and over? That is where a lot of these anxious thoughts come from. And a lot of times we don't even take the time to notice what they are, to like slow down enough to pause the very busy brain of ours and to go, oh, that's really what I've been thinking about for like days, weeks, months. That is what I've been worrying about. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay. Again, as I've said, if you got your paper, great. What I want you to do on your paper is I want you to draw a circle on that piece of paper. Okay. And on the outside of the circle, you are going to write down everything that you're worrying about that is outside of your control. So, again, taking some time, pausing me here. Let me run through some examples before you pause me, though. Things that are outside of your control that you might be worried about. This could be things like the weather or Mother Nature. This could be things like world events, what is going on in the world. This could be politics. This could be things that you've done in your past or how people feel about you, right? Things that you regret, mistakes that you've made. This might be other people's thoughts or opinions about you. And it could even be other people's choices or mistakes that they're making. Okay. Maybe it is something to do with your family or your friends. Maybe it is wishing that you could have forgiveness from others. Those are just some examples. So I want you to think about in your specific situation right now, which of those are you worrying about? And maybe it is not even something I mentioned, but think of the things that you're worrying about and go ahead and put them on the outside of the circle if they are things that are outside of your control. All right. On the inside of the circle, you're going to write down things that you're thinking about that are inside of your control. So this could be how you respond to anything, right? Challenges, situations, circumstances. This might be your thoughts and beliefs. This could be you asking for help or taking care of yourself. This could be any choice that you have to make. This would be the people that you spend time with or your attitude. This could be how you spend your time, what you think about, what you talk about, and the mental input that you choose. So that could be what you watch on social media, on TV, what kind of gossip you let yourself be involved in. Anything like that are going to be things that are inside of your control because you have control over those things. So pause here, write down things that are inside of your control that you're worried about, and things that are outside of your control that you're worried about. All right, now that you've done that, I want you to notice how many things you're worrying about that are completely outside of your control, that you have no impact on, yet they're taking up that space in your brain. And again, we are busy. We don't have the space to give to things that we really have no control over. So these are things that we are going to let go. I have a couple of breathwork sessions on the podcast that might be really helpful. Episode 7 is a breathwork session to clear your mind. That's a really good one. And also, episode 5 is release stress and anxiety. So go and listen to those. Those are free episodes you can listen to whenever you need. But those will help you kind of release some of those things, those worries that you have on your mind. Again, awareness is the first step, just knowing that you're thinking about them so that then you can take some action and work through how to not stress about things that are outside of your control. All right, my friend, today we talked about overwhelm. We talked about stress. We talked about anxiety. And hopefully, I give you some insight on how to separate each of the three of them to see kind of where you're struggling the most. Also, I hope that the resources and the tools that I shared with you today, those really practical action taking steps, were helpful. These are things that I do in my very own life that really help me. So I wanted to share those with you if they could be helpful for you right now. Let's just do a quick recap on things that you're going to let go of this holiday season and things that you're going to choose to focus on because that will make a huge difference in how you feel. So, things that you're going to let go of, going back to that Overcome Overwhelm 4D blueprint, anything in the ditch category or the delay category or the delegate category, those things, whoop, swiped off your list for now. And hopefully in the future too. Okay. And then any worries that you wrote outside of your control, those are things that you're going to let go of. Again, go back to those breathwork sessions. If those would be helpful for you, for me, they're amazing because it is one way that I can actually slow down my super busy brain. Okay. Breath work. You guys know I'm obsessed. And then let's talk about what you're going to focus on this holiday season. Going back to that, again, that Overcome Overwhelm 4D blueprint, your do now list. I know you kind of combed back through it when we focused on your intention for the season. So, looking at that list, what on there is not only urgent and important in that do now list, but things that actually matter to you, things that line up with how you want to feel this holiday season. Again, going back to what did you choose your focus of the season to be? Maybe that again is a word or a phrase. Maybe that is a mantra, an affirmation, a Bible verse, a feeling, or for me, it's that visualization, seeing kind of my life play out ahead of me exactly like I want it to be. So, coming back to your intention or focus of the season. One last thing I did not mention yet that is really powerful for me is gratitude. A lot of times, with a mind that feels anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed, we tend to think about what we haven't done, what we don't have, what we yet still need to do. And instead, we want to think about what we do have. When we are tapped into that gratitude, that feeling of gratefulness and thankfulness, we cannot at the same time be feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and anxious. It is not possible to have those two feelings at the exact same time. So I love to just run through what I'm grateful for, whether I spend a couple of minutes each day just making a quick list, whether I tap in at night and just maybe think of the 3 things that I'm grateful for that day. However, you can take some time to focus on being intentional with gratitude will truly change your life. I know that's a big statement, but I'm serious. Okay. All right, my friend. I hope that today's episode was helpful. I really do feel like you can have the holiday season that you want to have. The holiday season without the overwhelm and the stress and the anxiety, and instead the one where you feel light and joyful and happy and hopeful and present, because that is important. The one thing we cannot get back in our life is our time, and how we choose to spend that is incredibly important. I hope that this episode was helpful. If you have any questions, I am happy to help. Just send me a quick message on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. Wherever you are, reach out to me. I would love to support you. The very last thing I'll say before I wrap up is keep a lookout. December 1st on the podcast, I'll be dropping something really cool for 12 days, and you do not want to miss these episodes. They're going to be really cool. All right, friend, thanks for being here. I hope you have an amazing holiday season, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You don't know how much it means to me. If you'd like more behind the scenes content, inspiration, and daily reminders that encourage and uplift you, follow me on Instagram at @HeyErinKimbrel and send me a DM to say hey. If any of the episodes have been super helpful for you, please consider leaving me a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. It helps me so incredibly much, and it allows the podcast to be seen by other people who need it. If you want to learn more from me, head to erinkimbrel.com. That's where you'll find all my free resources, read the podcast show notes, and learn more information about my online coaching and breathwork programs that help you create the life you want. If you want to keep the conversation going from today's episode, join us in our exclusive podcast Facebook community, Empowered and Free Help for High Functioning Anxiety. I'm here for you, and I'm always cheering you on. I'll see you next time. I'm Erin Kimbrel, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast.